Get the tea and biscuits ready, it's time for the Thursday Murder Club review. Hello everyone, it's Sarah here bringing you our latest review and breakdown. Today we're looking at the film The Thursday Murder Club, a cheeky little crime thriller comedy with a wonderful cast and a surprisingly entertaining case at the centre of it. Before we begin though, please like, share and subscribe to the channel, and that's it. Get your kit, it's time to solve the mystery. The film is an interesting blend of American and English writing, with a very American Netflix plot but populated by the most British character stereotypes and typical British humour throughout. It's also got one of the most surprisingly stacked casts for such an underdog Netflix film. The four main characters are played by Helen Mirren, Pierce Brosnan, Ben Kingsley and Celia Imrie. Then you've got the villain, played by the delectable David Tennant as a scumlord real estate developer. And the rest of the supporting cast include Tom Ellis, famous for playing Lucifer, Jonathan Pryce, Daniel Mays, Paul Freeman, Ingrid Oliver, Ruth Sheen, Richard E. Grant, and Jeff Bell, and Naomi Ackie, who's absolutely wonderful as PC Donna DeFritters. Honestly though, HBO should be looking at this cast if they really intend on reviving the Harry Potter franchise, as all these actors are fantastic. Anyhow, if you're familiar with the games like Clue or Murder Mystery Night, then this is essentially what the club does, more or less anyway. They take unsolved murders that happen in England and kind of play them out. Each member of their group was a specialist of something before retiring. Kingsley was a psychiatrist. Brosnan was a former union leader, and Mirren was a former MI6. The newest member in their group is Celia, who is a retired nurse. Using their skill sets, they solve these murders and often send their findings to the local law enforcement, in hopes of doing some good in the world. However, when Tennant shows up trying to basically tear down the retirement community and turn it into some kind of entertainment boardwalk like Atlantic City, the club finds out he's got some ties to some big criminal organisations, and when the first body shows up, the Thursday Murder Club is on the case. They enlist the help of Donna and a local Polish handyman named Bogdan to gather clues and ultimately save their homes and get rid of the bad guys. Much of the humour throughout this film is age-related or situational, but the actors are also perfect in their roles, so endearing that it keeps you watching and giggling along the way. Spoilers warning, I'll give you a moment to skip to the timestamp on the screen if you want to avoid any. Still with us? Let's continue. We're going to keep this breakdown a bit more concise as it is a comedy film and no one likes to have a joke explained to them. So when the film begins, we meet our main crew. We find out that recently one of the members has entered hospice care, former detective Penny Gray, and so they've decided to let someone else join them, a newly retired nurse by the name of Joyce. We also learn that Elizabeth, Helen Mirren's character, has a husband Stephen is suffering from dementia, but he used to be a prolific writer in both fiction and true crime. Essentially he's kind of like an allegory to Ian Fleming, except the spy stories he wrote were real life accounts from his wife. In the morning, the Thursday Murder Club gets together covering an old case, the death of Angela Hughes, but it remains unsolved for now. During the afternoon, they get a visit from Police Constable Donna to go over safety stuff, lock your doors at night, don't give your credit card number to people you don't know, etc. However, her police car gets towed and so she ends up being stuck at the retirement community until her lieutenant can resolve it, and spends the next hour or so with the Thursday Murder Club. Ron, Pierce Brosnan's character, has a son named Jason, who used to be a famous boxer and athlete, but hurt himself and has become a celebrity on reality television, which just happens to be one of Donna's crushes, and so when he comes to visit, the two strike up an awkward romantic first encounter. While walking around the grounds, they witness a huge argument between Ian Bentham, David Tennant's character, and Tony Curran, the property owner and former business partner of Ian's. Basically, Ian is selling off the land and forcing Tony's hand to have to also sell to some kind of crime family so they can turn the place into an entertainment casino district. The next day, Tony is found dead, of course. However, before he's killed, he seems to recognise whoever broke into his house, so naturally Ian is our first suspect. When Joyce hears this over the radio, she gets super excited and gathers all the other members to tell them the good news. Well, it's also sad, but finally a real-life murder to solve. She and Elizabeth dress up as some fragile old ladies looking like Angela Lansbury's personal fan club and head over to the police station to try and get an appointment with PC Donna. Donna is absolutely bored to tears ever since moving to this small town from great big London, and since the job has mostly men, she's been given the position of basically being a meter maid and making the tea. When she meets with them, she is not surprised at all to see them here, trying to get involved with the case. The men, on the other hand, put together a scheme so that they can lead the bumbling detective in charge astray. They then demand that Donna join the investigation because they don't trust anyone else, and just like that, Donna joins CID. While doing some late night research, Elizabeth uncovers there's a third investor involved, Bobby Tanner, the local big crime boss under the alias of Derek Ward, a florist. Using Joyce's connections at the hospital, they also find out that Ron's son Jason once worked with Tony. All signs point to Ian being the one who did the deed. However, he has a strong alibi and the evidence just doesn't line up for him. A day later, during the community residents' protest, Ian suddenly dies from a fentanyl overdose, which leaves Tanner as the sole owner of the grounds, and he fabricates a bunch of evidence which ends up getting Jason arrested. Elizabeth strikes up a friendship with Bogdan, a quiet and reserved Polish handyman who works on the grounds. Eventually, he tells her of a secret he found, and takes her to a hidden grave which contains a skeleton. Through some forensic work, the body is found out to be Peter Mercer, the man who supposedly witnessed Angela's death so many years ago. Not long after uncovering all this, Elizabeth begins to receive death threats, warning her to leave it alone, or she and her husband will be meeting Angela in the afterlife very soon. While being detained by the police, Jason provides an alibi that he was having an affair with Ian's wife Gemma, and is subsequently cleared of all the charges. Meanwhile, Elizabeth and Donna work together to uncover the secrets of Tanner. Now again, everyone thinks he's this florist guy, because Tanner supposedly died a few years ago, but something gnaws at Elizabeth, and so she's calling in some favours, and she confirms that he is indeed the crime boss, and on top of that, he's been trafficking migrants through his shop, seizing their passports to use as indentured servants, and to her surprise, Tony was his partner. Well, being the unstoppable force she is, Elizabeth goes to Tanner with an offer. Leave Cooper's chase alone in exchange for her silence. This is where she finds out that Bogdan was responsible for Tony's murder, as he was being forced to do so by Tanner in order to get his passport back. So, one mystery solved. But what about Angela? Well, it turns out that Mercer wasn't a witness, but rather the perpetrator, and that it was Penny who killed Mercer in the act of vigilante justice, when Ian's plans threatened to uncover this truth if redevelopment started. Penny's husband, John, killed Ian to protect her, after Penny succumbs to her illness. John takes his own life by overdosing on fentanyl. At the funeral for Penny, Elizabeth formally welcomes Joyce to the club and presents her with a necklace. But Joyce has even more good news. Her daughter Joanna, who manages a major hedge fund, brought Cooper's chase, and so everyone gets to stay and life in the little community returns to normal. And that about covers it. If you were expecting some kind of true detective level mystery to solve, this isn't that kind of film. This is more like Nancy Drew for grown-ups, but regardless, I found it very entertaining. Again, this is primarily due to the wonderful cast, and I hope that this film generates enough views that we are able to get another sequel down the road. I give the film a 7 out of 10. There were some moments where the film took some huge leaps in logic as well as suspension of disbelief. But overall, if you're looking for something easy to watch on a rainy afternoon, this film will leave you feeling pretty good. I want to thank you all for checking out the video. What did you think of the film? Are there any clubs that you are a part of that does anything interesting? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to investigate that bell icon to stay up to date with all our latest releases. I have been your host Sarah, and thank you for being here with me today. I hope you have the most beautiful day ahead of you, and take care. Goodbye.